In the dead of night, the silence in Venezuela's capital, Caracas, was just shattered by a series of massive explosions. So let's break down what we know about what happened, who was targeted, and why the official response has been, well, complete silence. Okay, so picture this. It's 2 o'clock in the morning in Caracas. All of a sudden, the sky is roaring with low-flying aircraft, and the ground is literally shaking from a series of blasts. Smoke is starting to fill the air. That's the scene that jolted residents from their sleep, leaving everyone with one massive question. What on earth just happened? All right, so first things first, let's get a clear picture of the event itself, piecing together what we know from those initial reports that came flooding in. And we're not talking about just a single incident here. No, reports confirmed at least 7 distinct explosions across the city. The sheer scale of that, 7 of them, suggests this was anything but random. It really points to a coordinated and pretty significant event. I mean, listen to this quote from Reuters. It just paints such a vivid, chaotic picture. It wasn't just the sound of the blasts. It was the roar of planes, the sight of smoke columns. You just get this immediate, visceral sense that something major was going down. So, what was the reaction on the ground? Well, you can just imagine the confusion and fear. People poured out into the streets, trying to figure out what was going on, all while parts of the city were suddenly plunged into total darkness. Okay, so if this was a coordinated attack, where was it aimed? Well, reports very quickly started pointing to some very specific and highly strategic locations. And these targets were not random buildings. No way. They included Fort Tiuna, which is the main military command center for the whole country, and La Carlota, a really critical airbase. Hitting these spots isn't just about causing damage. It's a direct strike at the very heart of Venezuela's entire military infrastructure. Now, of course, something like this doesn't just happen in a vacuum, right? To really get a grasp on why this might have happened, we have to zoom out and look at the simmering tensions that have been building and building for months. This timeline here reveals a pretty clear pattern of escalating pressure. You can trace it back to last October, when the CIA was reportedly granted authority to operate inside Venezuela. Then, fast forward to recent weeks, and we've seen a real ramp-up in sanctions and U.S. military presence in the area, all while threats of potential ground operations have been looming. So when you put it all together, you can see the strategy is clearly a multi-pronged attack. You've got economic pressure with sanctions, a show of force with military deployments, and then covert operations with the CIA. It's all part of a stated U.S. policy aimed at pressuring President Nicolas Maduro. And here is a really critical piece of information that came out. According to reporting from CBS News, officials inside the Trump administration were not surprised by this. They were apparently aware of the bombardments as they were actually happening. So you've got explosions rocking major military bases. Tensions are through the roof. You'd expect some kind of immediate statement from both sides, right? Well, what actually followed was the complete opposite. What followed was just nothing. A total wall of silence. Requests for comments sent to both the Venezuelan government and over to the Pentagon just went unanswered. And this information vacuum, it only fueled more confusion and a ton of speculation about who was responsible and what could possibly come next. So let's recap. We have a very clear event. We have specific military targets and a whole backdrop of intense geopolitical pressure. And yet the only thing we're hearing from the key players is silence. This leaves us in a really volatile and uncertain situation, and with the most crucial question of all: what happens next?